InsightStorm will be design experts. I would like to invite Vishwas Mudagal on stage. He is the CEO and co-founder of GoodWorkLabs, which is a world-leading UX design studio and product development firm that helps companies from Fortune 500 giants to startups design and build beautiful and scalable technology products. He's also the author of the best-selling novel, Losing My Religion. Accompanying him, I would like to also invite Apala Lahiri, President of Human Factors International, Middle East, and CEO of Institute of Consumer Experience, Mumbai. Her passion is to envision how user experience is changed across time and space. Apala specializes in creating breakthrough user experience strategies. She has developed a wide array of user research techniques and adapted it to diverse cultural and economic environments. A designer par excellence, Apala has won the Audi Design Award.
All right, so let's start. Segment 1, Insights.
All right, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So my first insight would be awesome design is all about great storytelling. So moving from the...
No, Insight 1.
Okay, my first insight is objectified customers are not committed customers.
Okay, my second insight would be the lesser, the merrier.
My second insight is don't design with déjà vu, design with vuja de.
So my third insight is practical CX is data-driven, iterative, and a continuous process.
My third insight, by 2030, design, as we know it now, is going to vanish. What then?
All right, the second segment, stories behind the insights.
All right. So my first insight, as you guys know, is awesome design is all about great storytelling. And if you look at, we have been very fortunate at GoodWorkLabs, working with a lot of companies to help them build large-scale products, globally. And when I look at what really is a common thread here, it's all about coming away from the functionality-first approach towards a more user-centric approach, or you can even say design thinking. And whatever the norm is right now in terms of the nomenclature. But whatever said and done, the best way to create a great design is all about telling a story. Telling a story from the perspective of the user and not from the perspective of the business. And when I look at it in a practical perspective, what it is, it's all about creating a hook, When if you're writing a story, the first thing you do is you hook the user with something that they can instantly connect with, they can instantly get engaged, and this only comes when you create something very, very personalized for them, right? So that is the whole point. For example, if you look at Facebook is a great example for the whole thing, that it instantly connects with you. It's got something that is extremely personal to you, and you get really high user engagement, right? So, but it's not easy to get this for everybody, and then you need to really iterate many times to figure out what it is that how do we make something personal. So, yeah.
Did you speak of...
No, only one.
Only one, all right. The first story from Apala.
Okay, so objectified customers are not committed customers. In our field in user experience design, we have a tendency to slot our users. And when I say slot, it's sort of segmenting them and saying, oh, this is, they're poor, they're lower middle class, they're empty nesters, they're millennial. And that's what I call objectification. What happens then is the conversations around any kind of strategy for user experience or design solutions is only driven by conversations of price and features. And so you're typically asked, oh, you're designing for the poor. So as if the poor is this one box. And so just which features can we take out to get it to a price point they can afford? Can you design, once you pare it down to, a bare minimum set of features, can you design that experience? In that conversation, I think we lose some immense opportunities for innovation, for new ideas, and for differentiation. And why do I say that? Because now imagine you design for, okay, these features, let's take them out, or let's add some, the price will be this or that. Well, you know what? That's such a transaction. Next brand is going to come and do exactly the same thing. Take some features off, add some pricing, variations. And what happens to your customers? Your customer's not committed. You didn't fulfill any need, any deep need. You didn't really understand the customer. It's just a lazy way to provide solutions. And so the customer will walk away to the next brand, will cross over. That's why there's no commitment. And in this day and age, these slots are so increasingly meaningless because we live in a world where everything, all the information about where I can be, in 10 years is all accessible to me. Doesn't matter what my income as defined by my income tax statement or my bank balance, what that says, which category I fit into. I have all the information, I have exposure to what's going on in the world for me to define who I want to be. So those slots and walls between different segments, blurring, moving, finishing. But if we still stick to designing with those, that kind of objectification, we're not going to get anywhere. And I'll tell you an anecdote where this came home to us, as a design team. So we were tasked with looking at a particular washing machine brand, which was not an Indian brand. And what the client said, the conversation was exactly this. Oh, this washing machine, very expensive. Top of the range, fully automatic. Indian consumers, you've got, the socioeconomic classification. That's how we sort of ruin any understanding of a country. Okay, so we just want to study the ones at the top and maybe the upper middle class, that's it. And just figure out, at this price, what will make them buy it. Should we add some features like fragrance of feeling my clothes are clean? Should we add germ-free, stuff, etc.? Just get back to us and tell us how, and then tell us how it should be designed for the Indian market. So we decided, and the clients were very open, I have to admit that forget that, throw that question out. The question is, what is clean? What is my clothes being clean? What does that mean to me in my life? Why is it important? And the moment you ask that question, doesn't matter which slot you belong to. You want to find the answer to that. You want to understand how cleaning clothes becomes a part of anybody's life. And that could be anybody. Could be a poor housewife to a single person living in an urban area to somebody really rich, etc., etc. It doesn't matter. And that's what happened. And you know what we discovered, much to our surprise? That the lower middle class, horrible, these slots, but anyway, lower middle class segment, which the client initially was like, exclude, they cannot afford. 20% of the sample in that segment already had these very expensive washing machines. And you know why? It surprised us very much also as the design researchers and designers. It was because, so I'll tell you one of them, one housewife, she said, tiny little flat, I run a creche when my husband goes to work, etc. And the creche is not just about supplementing income. The creche is because I have a dream. I want to create a facility to care for children. And I will get there one day. But in doing that, I want to be liberated of my daily chores. This washing machine, amazing. I put the clothes in, I don't have to bother. It's fully automatic. I paid the extra money because it helps me move towards what I want to be. Similar stories across. So imagine if you objectified and only looked at price and features, you would miss this kind of connect that you can form with your customers about what do they need. And if you can design for that, you have them with you for life. That's my story. A little long.
All right. So my second insight was the lesser, the merrier, okay? So if you look at user experience and design, it's as much as an art as it is science. And every time, you give too much information to a user or give them too many choices, you're going to confuse the heck out of them, okay? So simplicity is the key in building great design, okay? So keep it clutter-free, give them little choices, and don't use major jargon. Don't write too much of text, right? So that is the whole thing, giving them visual cues. That's what is a great product all about. And a great example of this is, of course, Apple, and I've been a great fan of Steve Jobs. I'm sure many of you guys are here. And at GoodWorkLabs, we are fortunate to have partnered with Apple on multiple things in India. So we can relate very closely with what they have done, and always they're very, very clear, about one thing. The best products in the world are not about doing too many things, okay? The best products in the world are about doing one or two key features better than anybody else. Okay, so that is the whole objective of creating a great product. So that comes with the user experience, the design focus that we are looking at right now. Keep it clean and focused. So we get a lot of startups who come to us for help. And when they come to us, and some of the guys, a lot of them, they want us to do the world for them. For example, this startup wanted to do something in the book sharing. And I looked at the feature list and what they wanted us to do. So they wanted to do everything under the sun for the books. Book sharing, book rental, book selling, there is a forum, there is a book reviews, you name it, another 10 things they want to do it. And I was like, guys, how will anybody even look at it? They'll be like totally spoiled. So the key is to start with something that you're good at, something that you analyze that, okay, this is the need, and then you keep going from there, right? So simplicity is everything, right? So uncomplicating things is what is great user experience and customer experience, but uncomplicating things is the most complicated thing. That's what we have realized.
All right, so we'll go to the next story, but we'll keep it crisper now,
sure.
because we are being told that we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sure.
Should I start or wait for the thumb link? So my next insight, which was don't design with deja vu, design with Vujade. And I'll go to the story straight without really explaining much about, what deja vu is. Vujade is the opposite. And so very recently, we were in Jakarta doing a project. Now this deja vu dungeon, this trap happens on the first day particularly. So imagine we're, the team's going in, and it's ethnographic research to inform the design. So we're going into people's houses. What happens when you go into somebody's house? You're like, oh, see, they plastic wrap the chairs, just like us, just like our homes. See the way they're serving the food, just like us. See how they're using plastic, and see the calendars with the gods and all, just like us. The moment this just like us sets in, very dangerous. So at the end of the day, when we regroup back in the hotel, and we're looking at, okay, what did we see today? And it's like, overwhelming deja vu. How can they be just like us? Did we learn one damn thing that tells us that they're different? No. Because you know what? You miss those conversations. The moment in your head you assume, he's just like me. I don't want to know anymore, because I assume I know. I want to move on to the next thing that I think you will tell me, which is different, and I miss that. So when we went back, and this is normal, first day we have this, next day when we went back, one question is an example that we decided, no. It cannot be that they're all just like us. One question that everybody talked about was how they love deals, right? And this was in the area of communication. So it's all about mobile phones and plans and whatever other devices they use for communication. And on the first day, they were like, we love deals. So, when a brand offers us deals, whether it's the phone or the plan, it's so good. And of course, in the hotel, we're like, just like India, we love deals. It's just like that. When we went back the next day and we asked them, what do you do with those deals? Tell us, what was the last deal you got and you used? Now, this question is like, at some level, such a foolish question. It's a naive question. You got a deal, you saved money, you felt good. But no, it's Vuja Day. You don't know anything. Start on with a clean slate. We asked them, and you know what we discovered after we went through some families, same pattern, is they love hunting for the deals. They don't use them. it's like bargain hunting. It's like treasure hunt. The more difficult it is to find a deal, the more engaged they are with the brand, the more they remember the brand, because it was so hidden, it was so difficult. And then they are like, I found it. And then they want to tell their communities. This was the interesting thing. The deal is not that I found it and I use it. No, then I go to my community in the mosque, etc., and I talk about the fact, do you know there is this deal? Do you know where it is? I will tell you. So they are like, I'm this big networker and I'm this tutor. They in fact suggested, can you have YouTube videos where I can talk and say you can file deals like this, you can go here, you can go there. We would have never found that if we had gone with the deja vu. I know what these deals about. That's my second story.
Awesome. All right. Okay. All right. So my third insight was practical CX or customer experience is data-driven, iterative, and a continuous process. So one thing about design is you can never get it perfected in one go. It's impossible, right? So it's always about iterating, but not iterating for the heck of it. You know, you need to validate your learning each time that you're going to the next step, right? So that's the whole point. And you'll be surprised on what your consumers will actually need, right? So you can never understand how they'll play around with your product, right? So that is the whole point. So I remember, for example, we were doing a mobile application for Common Floor, and you know, instead of directly jumping into something that what assumptions were for that was going on the web, we went to the market, we did the user research, spoke to about 50 to 60 real estate agents in Bangalore. And when we came back, we realized that, you know, a lot of these features that they're on the web, you know, actually we're not really getting used. So we had to redo the entire thing, right? So if we had not done that, if we had not done that kind of a quick prototyping, quick, you know, usability testing, right? So it could have been a disaster, right? So what we have seen is, in many of the products, all you need to do is gather around 5 to 10 users and just do some usability testing. You know, there are many ways of doing it. So that'll actually tell whether, you know, you're going right or in the wrong way, right? So that is the kind of practical approach that you need to take, right? And the last thing that I want to tell is, there's one customer, you know, that came to us, and you know, they wanted a new site. And when we looked at it, and we looked at their wireframes and how they wanted to go about it, they had like about 7 or 8 columns in a page, right? And we looked at it and we were like, you know, what does it even look like? They wanted everything under the sun in a website, right? So how do we convince them, right, that this is not the right approach? Because it's not about just putting everything on the screen there, like a TV screen, that is like a new screen that is going on there. So we did a quick, you know, A/B testing. We put users in different buckets and we tested them, and we had very startling results. And that's how we could improve, right? So even for at a stakeholder level, at people who have very old mentality, old-fashioned people, for them, you need to give a wake-up call. I think you need to do that kind of testing, right? So that is the kind of approach you need to take for UX.
Okay, so my third insight, design as we know it, is going to vanish in 2030. What then? Particularly, I'm asking myself. So where does this come from? And there's really not a story behind it, but increasingly, as I look around, I'm seeing the maker movements everywhere. Bangalore, hotbed of maker movement. What does it mean? People are able to design things for themselves. Look at the whole trend of prosumers. Producers will be consumers. They will produce their own stuff that they will consume. And particularly inspired by 2 books which lay out a scenario which plays out by about 2030 called Post-Capitalism. And if you haven't read these, you must, because they're very interesting in what they say, what technology is doing to change the way we live, our economics. Everything will change, and we'll become communities, smaller communities, global, but small communities where we design and produce our own stuff. Every individual will be a designer. That's actually wonderful. But it also begs the question for myself and for others like me, so what will we do in 2030 if that scenario plays out? I think there are many possible roles. It could be, as facilitators, as coaches, as mentors, etc., as designers in small communities. But it's going to be very different from the way we look at design as experts, as divas right now. And it is something that begs pondering. Because if we don't, then the whole design field may just be extinct. So we have to visualize how we'll transform. That's the insight.
Oh, great. So the final segment, fresh insights.
All right. So I had a great time here listening to Apala, and what I feel is, if you look at the last thing, what she says, by 2030, we may not even have something called design, right? So that triggers his thought, or even re-emphasizes his thought that change is constant. We always need to be on our toes to figure out what is the next trend and then be the trend, right? So instead of just following the trend, because great design is all about that. It's about finding what is the next way of doing great things, right? And the only way we got to do it is by being a thought leader yourself and disrupting it yourself. Else, there's going to be some machine or a robot designing your interfaces next, and definitely we don't want that to happen.
All right, Apala.
Okay, so similarly, great listening to you, Vishwas. And your first insight, that really triggered the thought in me that, we tell stories as designers. We do tell stories, and it is about our users. But we don't tell stories about ourselves. And maybe we should sometimes turn the torch, the light, towards ourselves and see, how is this story unfolding? Where's the plot twisting and turning? What is this character that I'm playing? How is this going to change? I think it's very important that the storytelling sometimes also includes us, and we reflect about where we are headed. So that's it.
All right, thank you so much. And we would like to thank both of you. Like to thank both of you with our book, Storm the Norm. Thank you so much, Vishwas. It was a great pleasure. Right, so can we come to the center and, right, so that we can pose for a little pic. All right, the book, yeah, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next one.